Let's be real. How many times have you got a new lead that came in and you thought to yourself, now what? You're typing manual emails, you're chasing down console calls, and praying you don't forget to follow up with them. Let's be honest, that is stressful and it's probably costing you some money. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to capture leads with an inquiry form and how to connect them with automated workflows. So your system follow-ups for you. No more leads, no more late nights around, did I follow up with this person? Let's throw that in the past and move into the future into how to capture leads and use automation. For those of you that are new to my channel, hello, my name is Jessie with GEA Systems. I love to talk about all things unsexy about running an event industry business. And today I'm going to share with you how to effectively capture leads in your inquiry process inside of your event industry business. This is perfect for those of you. It doesn't matter if you're a planner, DJ, a venue, balloon artist, or anything in between. I am going to help you today. First step that you want to remember when it comes to actually capturing leads is having an inquiry form that is gathering the right information. It's important to do this because you don't want it to be that you're having to have people repeat what they're needing to tell you about their specific event. It's important to have a platform that you're using that's allowing for you to capture this information effectively, efficiently. And the best part about having a inquiry form is that you can put this on social media, your website, or even send your link directly to people that are interested in your service. You always want to remember with your inquiry form to capture just the important information. You do not want to ever ask more than 10 questions on an inquiry form. This is important because if it's a long process, you will automatically lose potential leads because they do not want to fill in a dissertation questionnaire. So you only want to ask the important questions that are allowing them to get into your sales funnel. This is important because you want to be able to lead your customer along the process with understanding where they are in that specific process. If in the beginning you're asking 25 questions or questions that they don't know how to answer, what will typically happen is that they won't respond or they're going to lie, which does not help you with onboarding or potentially gaining a customer. So once you have this inquiry form, it's going to be super important for you. One of the platforms that I love to talk about on here is HoneyBook. I am a certified HoneyBook expert and pro that loves to work with event industry businesses. So I'm going to share with you how to go about doing this with using HoneyBook. I will share my screen so you can see exactly what a inquiry form looks like inside of HoneyBook. Inside of HoneyBook, they do allow for you to have different types of inquiry forms in which you can create. They call it lead forms in HoneyBook. And essentially, it is a form that allows for you to capture leads. They have different types of lead forms in which you can create, which you can look inside of their platform to look. You have one-time consultation, introductory calls, inquiry forms, instant bookings when people are looking for speaking engagements, partnerships, and things of that nature. But today, what we're going to be focusing on is the inquiry form. One of the things I always want for people to think about when it comes down to their inquiry form is, do you tend to have more people that are curious or people that are serious about your services? I am not someone to say if something's wrong or right when it comes to the type of design that you're using. The biggest recommendation that I will say when it comes to creating an inquiry form or a lead form inside of HoneyBook is that if your business is a business that people are typically inquiring because they're curious about, more or less than serious, I would not have your calendar client facing because you may get more people that are not serious about your services. They're just trying to find out what does it cost or what are the services you offer. So if that is the case, what I would recommend for you to do is to select the inquiry form and then have an automation that once they go through that form, that they're getting an email to schedule a time to talk. For someone like myself, I have a very niche business, so I don't typically get a bunch of people that just randomly reach out about my services. So I do have my calendar client facing. because most of the people that reach out to my services are because of word of mouth or because they are aware of what we do inside of my industry. So my conversion rate is high because of what we do. So I do have my calendar facing inside of my HoneyBook system. So inside of here, all it is selecting which form you want to have when it comes to your specific service. One thing that I do also want to share with people is that you can have lead forms that are not just client facing. You can also have lead forms that are vendor facing. So I do have, when people are interested in being a member on my team, that I have it on my website where at the bottom of the website it says, if you're interested in being a partner with us, please click here. So those of you that might be planners or venues, or you like to collaborate with other people, or maybe instead of it being vendors, it might be an employee interest form. So if you're maybe a bar service and you're like wanting to use HoneyBook for people that are curious about being a part of your team, you can have a hiring or new team member submission form where you're having people put in some information about their previous experience and why they want to work with you. But this is just, again, an example for you to look at. One of the things I always recommend for people to do when they're doing their designs is to make sure that it looks great in both a full view as well as a mobile view. So you want to design your form based on your aesthetic and where you're going to be potentially using this lead form. The next step is now to connect your lead form to your automation. I did do a video on how to do automations. I'll make sure to have that linked, as well as a free resource on how to create automations or think them through. The first thing that I will say about automations is that you want to take time to write out your processes to know exactly what you want to happen when you have a client that inquires about your service. I've worked with a bunch of different businesses, and how they operate or what happens after someone inquires about their services are different. So if I don't know enough about your business, I will not give a blanketed statement because everyone has different services as well as experiences that they want their clients to have. So you do want to now connect your workflow to your automation. One of the things that you do want to consider when you're creating your automation is not just what is that initial experience, but also how are you going to use follow up inside of that flow. So let's go into HoneyBook so I can share with you exactly how a potential automation could look when it comes down to a workflow for your inquiry process. So as you can see from the Automations 2.0, we go from a very long linear process to short buckets. So we can see that when someone reaches out because they're running an audit within my service for my events, that it changes people to the meeting, then it's waiting a few hours to send the welcome brochure. And that's the end of that flow. But then what happens is that there's another automation that picks up after that once the client has that session that starts. The best thing I could recommend with the Automation 2.0 is not to do a long flow, but to have micro stages. So this is now my audit post consultation. So the trigger for this is that after that consultation happens, I'm prompted to then send them a brochure within 2 days. If they haven't completed that brochure on the services that we're offering to them, that it will then have follow-up email, then it will wait 3 days. And after those 3 days, I will then reach out to that community to reach out and find out if they have any questions. But then the system will wait 3 days after I've done that. If they still have not completed that brochure, that the system will automatically archive that project. We just had a new automation update that just came out. And it's that it can automatically just archive a project. So I'm just updating that because I saw that I still had the old one. So the biggest thing to remember with the new Automation 2.0 is that it has a condition. When you're branching out, what will happen is that that main condition, the system will keep reading back to that condition. So with this specific condition is that it will continue to go back to this condition that if they haven't completed a document inside of this project, that it will go to the next step. So it will go from the brochure follow up. If in 2 days that doesn't happen, it will then say that no, that didn't happen, and it will send that follow up. Then it will wait 3 days, and it'll be like, okay, has this person finished this it will look to compare, has a file been completed in this document, in this project, and it says no, then it will go to the next step. So always remember with conditions, you don't need to have a condition that breaks off from another condition that breaks off to another condition, because the more complex it is, honestly, sometimes it will get a little bit confused. So I just only have my two main conditions. If they complete it, yes, then I'm going to now send the client a proposal. If no, we're going to send them follow ups to make sure, which brings me to step number three. You want to really think through your follow ups. Often, when people are creating automations for their workflow, is that they're only thinking of these big things and never taking the time to think about the follow up that's necessary. Because some people may not respond right away. In fact, they may have opened your email, but because something happened, they got distracted. So you do want to make sure that you're thinking through all of the follow ups that are necessary in your flows. The great thing about HoneyBook is that it will allow for you to automatically send reminders for follow-ups after a specific amount of dates. So you do want to have a system that's running in the background even when things are busy. Right now, we're about to head into holiday party season when things tend to be a lot more hectic. Or you don't want it to be that you're working on an event and because you are busy, that correspondence and follow up is not occurring. That's why I always recommend for people to use a platform like HoneyBook or to use automation, because things are always moving inside of event industry businesses. You do not want it to be that all of the correspondence is dependent on your availability to correspond to people. So technology is your friend when you allow for yourself to actually use it. The fourth step is that you now want to take time to keep things nicely organized. You want to be able to track every lead inside of your workflow in a centralized location so you know what the status is based on that pipeline. So I want to share with you what that pipeline can potentially look like inside of your business. Inside of HoneyBook, they did just release this really great new feature that allows for you to have multiple views of your pipeline. So as you can see, I have one that's geared towards vendor management, as well as one that's designated to client journey. Depending on your type of business and the types of services you provide, you may need multiple views. And if you'd love for me to do a video on how to do the different pipelines or reasons why, I would love to be able to do that. So just comment below and let me know. So the biggest reason why you want to have things nicely organized is because it allows for you to know where things are inside of your workflow. When I look at client journey, I can see that I have one person that is in the inquiry process because I haven't had correspondence going on. We just had a general conversation. I can clearly see how many people I have in the follow up because we've been having correspondence, but they have not given me the specific details. Individuals that have scheduled consultations are in my meeting, and then people that have sent proposals to that haven't signed yet are in that specific column. I do not spend more than an hour and a half a day on my administrative tasks inside of my business because I use automation to help me with knowing what is pending and what I need to actively work on. That's why I am really, really big on keeping things nicely organized in your business, specifically inside of HoneyBook, because it helps with you being able to not have to go through each and every project at any given time. And the final step that's really important when it comes to really embracing automation, you've taken the time to actually create your inquiry form, you've thought through your automations, you've thought through the follow up, you thought about how you're going to keep your pipeline nicely organized. The biggest thing I would recommend for you to do is just to test your workflow. Create some dummy projects, go through your lead form, make sure everything's live, and seeing, is this the type of correspondence I want to go to my client? Because you want to make sure that you have the emails going out right and have it saying the exact things you want it to say. So you want to make sure your links are working properly, that you have taken time to think through the design process, and it will really save you some headaches by taking this extra step. I find that people can often just create random things inside of HoneyBook and just hope that it works well instead of testing it. Take the time to test it. Have a few friends go through your lead form to get email correspondence. use some of your other emails to do your own testing as well. But I highly, highly recommend for you to take the time to test. And the best part about it is that once you test it and it's set up, it will run automatically. That's the best part about embracing automations and technology. It may feel like a heavy lift in the beginning, but once you have it set up, it's there and it's going to serve your clients and it's going to help you showing up in a powerful way. So here's the bottom line of everything. I want you to start with a lead capture form so that you're able to handle any new inquiries that are coming through your workflow. Then I want you to connect it to an automation to help with being able to have your business running without you having to send each and every email and copy and pasting all of your correspondence. Then once you have that set up, you're going to just really allow for HoneyBook to handle those follow-ups and communications and reminders so that it allows for you to have more breathing room inside of your business. And this is how you stop from letting leads slip through the cracks and finally creating a system that allows for you to shine in a powerful way and allow for things to work even when you're not working. And if any of this seems overwhelming or feels overwhelming, that's exactly what I do with helping event professionals like you. I encourage you to click the link below to learn more about my HoneyBook setup services that can help you with taking some of this confusion and getting your automations to run smoothly. Until the next time, peace.